Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Connection Loop podcast. I will be your host, Ruben Dua, the CEO and founder of Dubb. And today I have with me Dr. Ruben Kiera. We are going to talk about this very interesting topic that we're all trying to figure out, which is how to get more visibility on TikTok. Now, we have an expert in the room, in the house, that can talk about this exact subject matter. In fact, he and his team for his clients have gained over 500,000 followers and over 200 million views, all on TikTok. And this is through a rigorous strategy, a methodology, and something very accessible that you can do for your business. Now, the purpose of these TikTok videos is, in fact, to generate leads, to get awareness out there, to generate branding, and ultimately increase sales. So without further ado, Dr. Ruben, if you could please guide us through this process, and I will be your host here.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. Take me through it. What's the process? How do you start the process, and then how do you scale the process?
Yep. So what we do, we call it attention hacking. So independently of which social media channel, format, and content you talk about, our philosophy is not to say what do I like as content, but to actually think about what does a client look like. What does a client like? Okay, you salespeople out there obviously know how that is, but especially in the online world, it's actually the same. You need to have the attention of your target group, attention of clients, leads, in order to that. And with that philosophy, you produce different content. For example, I do also sometimes produce content on TikTok, like with a wig on and stuff like that, but not because I like it, but it's because it's certain demographics demand that. But so that should be the philosophy, to get the attention of your target group. And how we do it, how we run or scale every single channel is the following. We think about what is a target group. Is it, I don't know, we have a client which is selling a very complicated technology product, which is 55 and plus, a demographic you don't think is on TikTok, but actually is. And then you look at content, what they might like, and then you build content, and you try it out. So in the beginning of a new channel, we produce 10, 20, 30 videos a week, or even more, in order to test what does the demographic actually like. And then we see what they like, and then we go more in that direction. And we always think about how can we make the work for the algorithm easier. So how can we make it easier for the algorithm to deliver to a certain target group? And in order to understand TikTok, is they deliver your video to us. So maybe one point back. It doesn't matter how many followers you have on TikTok. You can go viral. You can reach millions of people when you start a fresh channel, because the channel does not look so much at your amount of followers in contrast to other social media channels. It only looks at the potential reach your video can have. How do they do that? They give your video to a very small group, 10 people, 30 people, 50 people. And then when this group reacts positively, they give this video to more people. And at the end, it can be millions of views for one single video. But then that means your video needs to be brutally good. And you need to think about a certain demographic the algorithm can show it to. So if you switch topics too crazily, then the algorithm doesn't know what should I do with this video. So it's important to have like to have a system, and to have a certain topic you deliver, and to think about your target group. What might your target group look like? And there are some universal truths actually about TikTok, how it looks like. I'm not sure if you remember the old Hollywood movies that starts with a long introduction with the lion, or, in TikTok, you have 0.3 seconds time to convince people. You cannot start with introduction. You need to start with a bam.
So yeah, tell me about that a little bit. I think what you're referring to is the hook, how to hook an audience into a video. And I think the reference that you just made is in traditional Hollywood films, there was a ton of stuff that appeared before the movie started. Now they sort of have to get right into it. It's not like that at the movie theaters anymore. There's a ton of stuff that you have to watch first. But I agree with you that our attention spans are much less, and we only have a couple of seconds. Take me through that.
Yeah, so there was a famous study, I think published by the New York Times, where they said that people have less attention span than a goldfish. I'm not sure about that, but TikTok actually shared these numbers that the average time a person invests and gives a video a chance is 0.3 seconds. And if you screw up the first picture, the first soundbite, you're gone. So not only the algorithm, but also the users are merciless. But to be quite honest, that's very very democratic, because you can, the people can actually watch what they want. They, in the movie theater, you need to flee the room. And the TV station, back in the days, you had like 3, and now they can choose whatever they want. So that's actually really cool. But that also is actually great news for everybody out there who has a niche. If you're a real estate agent, if you're a sales agent, if you're any topic in the world, you're on a niche. That's very, very good, because there are people out there that love to hear the stuff you're talking about. And the algorithm makes and delivers your content to these people. And then you need to convince this really good content.
Well, as they always say, the riches are in the niches. I prefer to pronounce the word niche, but the only time I don't pronounce it niche is when I say the riches are in the niches.
Sorry.
So I think what you're really focused on here is the ideal client profile and figuring out who we truly ultimately want to attract.
Yes.
I have had a very hard time understanding how to do that for my TikTok channel. And the reason why I think that happened is because during the pandemic, I was having a lot of fun on TikTok, and I was just doing videos, kind of fun ones around the house. And in fact, my most viral video on TikTok was, I think, 2.5 million views. I'll actually show it right now, but it was how to reheat pizza. So now all of a sudden I became the guy on TikTok teaching people how to reheat pizza. And then eventually I did it for a burrito. And then I think one more food. And then I realized I don't want to be the how to reheat food guy on TikTok. So of course I stopped that. And I went back to my business ones that, only get a couple of views. So this is that video right here.
Oh yeah, sure. Please.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but
yes,
there it is.
Super cool.
Yeah. And
super
what's interesting about this is that it got 2.3 million views. And then
this is the right way.
I forgot to tell where
you will laugh. I probably saw it. It looks familiar.
Yeah. So 49,000 views. And by the way, in case anyone's wondering what the strategy is, I'll just very quickly show it to you. The key is in the steaming. So you put the piece of pizza in there, and then you put a little paper towel with some water. So you're effectively steaming the pizza on top and then grilling it on the bottom. And that's what gives it that really great crisp, but also the cheese melts. So there it is, 2.5 million views.
My wife, this interview, because she always eats it cold, and I really don't. I love her to death, but that's the only thing I really think is weird. She eats cold pizza. But now I know how to eat it, so thank you very much.
Yeah,
my marriage probably.
Hey, I'm here to help. One of the other ways that I educated people on how to not reheat pizza was to put your toaster sideways, and then put the piece of pizza in the toaster sideways, and that's a big disaster because it makes a mess. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that I actually personally struggled with figuring out my strategy, being consistent with my strategy, how to understand this is who I'm ultimately targeting to, and then I'm only going to create content for them. The interesting thing about getting that viral hit is that you get the sort of distraction of, well, what is it that I want to do with my content? Do I want to do this stuff that gets 1 million views? Or do I want to do stuff that's sort of slow and steady? I'd love to get some feedback on that.
Well, it really depends on what your goal is. For us, our own channel, the goal is to demonstrate that we are capable of running channels. So we go more for virality in serious content about insurance and finance, which are our clients. For our clients, we actually have certain limits, not because of them, but we consult them and say, of course, we could try to generate a lot of million views videos. But the problem is then we do crazy stuff, or Klamauk, it's called in German. It's like nonsense. And that's not good for your brand. Sometimes for a bank or insurer or agent or a broker, an individual, a video with 10, 15, 50,000 views, 10 times more valuable than a video with 1 million views. For example, when it goes viral or when it reaches a certain threshold about your core business, or when you impress because you know a lot of things or you help people. So from time to time, we do these viral things too. Sometimes it's just an accident, but sometimes we try to do it in order to show that we can. But I would always suggest people that want to sell something over the internet, for 80% actually of your content, that it should be serious in some way. or at least in the topics, and not to run for the quick million. But you can do it from time to time. That's not a problem. And if you're big enough, and again, we have 500,000 in our own channels, followers, and several 100,000 in other channels. If you have a real community, they also want to be part of your life. So they also then think it's nice. I was at a hotel in Berlin yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and I paid a lot of money for a bottle of water, probably inflation. And these things work for my channel because I'm so long on TikTok, but for others it wouldn't. But it's because of the community, and the community expect that. But if you start, I would not do it. I would really deliver a lot of content, and the core should be not about you, not about the products and services you do, but about value to your potential customer and your customer. So, if you're a real estate agent, explain something about how to find a good house. How can I find out that a house that has bad windows or something like that? How do you value things? How do you estimate things? How does a credit work? Or if you're an insurance agent, it doesn't matter what you sell. Explain a lot, but without trying to sell, and that's the best way to sell, I experienced.
I really appreciate that. What is your username on TikTok? Would love to have people learn about your account and then follow you.
It's attention hacker.
Oh,
it's
perfect.
attention hacking. I think I should look up. It's attention hacking. I think, yeah. Perfect. And Ruben Kiera, my name. So
perfect.
I just hit 500,000. So
okay, so tell me about your growth. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here, but tell me about the growth strategy for your channel. What was that process like to get ultimately to the 500,000 followers that you've received?
So what we do is, at the beginning, we release just a lot of videos, but if you scroll down with these videos, you will not become successful today. Our main strategy is to produce and you see what we do. We have some new formats. For example, look at the third video there with the yellow German thing. Exactly. That's we interview decision makers from the insurance and finance industry. Obviously, that doesn't work. But on the other side, there's this other video that works. So we try out a lot of things, and that's what we still do. We try out a lot of formats, and when they work, we do them like crazy. And when they don't work, we don't do it. So, for example, this interview series, which are super highly ranked people in the industry, super interesting, but obviously nobody cares, which is sad because they really, share good stuff. I would have killed for if I would have started my career. Like, well, really, that's
the best. That's the best irony here. Because you have someone that's an industry leader and then you're interviewing them, but then you do something else and it'll get 10 times the views. That's funny.
Yeah, and what we also see is, and you see me in the hotel and all of that. So we try a lot of things, but it doesn't matter about what I talk. And even if I talk in the hotel about the bottle of water that costs 10 euros, I try to get a message about insurance and financial literacy, of course, to really, what can you learn from it? And that's what I really try to bring across. And another learning is, if you go down there, there's another influencer there where we did an interview, and that actually worked. So if you are in the TikTok bubble, you can do interviews that work. On the other hand, I bet if you are a regional player in a city somewhere and you start to interview peers, clients, whatever, that could also work, because people in the city may know that, and which is probably more interesting to you than national coverage. And what we do there, one trend we see over here, you see my hand there, not me. At some point, I got a very bad reach with my traditional videos where you see me. So I started to just use my hand and talk about real estate, what's good, what's bad, how can you see, because real estate is also a topic of my channel. And that really went viral. So when you are currently stuck, try to use your hand. Let's call it the Ruben Kiera memorial videos. The Ruben Kiera strategy, use your hand. But the overall strategy is always to try out different things, but also when things work, to really squeeze it out for the moment. There was an American creator who did like a rich versus really, really rich, which applied also to my channel. So I did like a German version of it, and that got me 100,000 followers in a few months, because I really did that a lot with a lot of funny, typical German examples. And at some point it didn't work anymore. So you need to find new formats, but the content should always be very similar, I think. Like, for example, financial literacy in my case.
I really appreciate that feedback. I mean, one of the things that I always struggle with on TikTok is there's an X variable and there's a Y variable. Okay. The X variable is educational versus entertaining. That's my X variable. And my Y variable is stationary location and calendar, scheduled posts where I record everything in this same location, and that's my brand, or run and gun out there in the wild. So location and sort of format. These are the things that I work through. Can you give us some advice on how to figure out a best strategy for us?
Okay, we do both. So we actually have a structured production process. We have people, I mean, we have 30 plus company, 30 plus people in Germany and Asia. And we have a certain person who not manages my TikTok account, but helps me a lot. Shout out to you, Johan. And what he does, he prepares the topics, he prepares the whole shooting. So we do 2-3 hours shooting on Tuesday mornings. And then he produces everything. And then we have a certain stack. Then we have interviews with thought leaders from TikTok bubble, which also, you do 1 hour of interview or 30 minutes of interview. You can produce 10, 15, 20 good TikToks from it. But we do also out on the gun because hello, was geht? Wie geht's? Very good. And because what actually happens is that sometimes these authentic things are pushed by the algorithm because they don't want marketing machines like us to ruining the platform. Right. But one secret I can tell you about regional things, I would be super careful when traveling because I traveled to our subsidiary in the Philippines. That crushed my views. So actually I stopped posting on the road, even though that were beautiful, good videos, and we posted in actually via a computer then in Germany, and then so the views got back. So the algorithm changes all the time, and there are small things like, for example, when you travel, when you travel abroad, I would not post, or ask somebody in the office to post for you.
And this is related to the IP address. So why do you think that is?
Probably,
why do you think that is? And one of the things that, and since we're talking about IP addresses, one of the things that happened is at one point I sort of had someone on my team post my TikTok videos for me on my behalf. And she was in the Philippines. And we ended up getting, I think did the account get blocked, or was there a feature that got blocked? I don't remember, but something bad happened where basically we said we should not have people overseas posting. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about the IP issues here.
Well, so I don't know the cause of it. I just observed it because before the zombie apocalypse, I traveled to Hong Kong at the super early stage of TikTok in 2019, at least super early in Germany, and that was actually really great. I could do a TikTok outside from the airplane, and it went viral. Everything was fine. But it was really quite striking. And finally, we have a key account manager who's currently outside of Central Europe, and who should also publish something for them, his main channel. It doesn't also work, so he sends the stuff via drive to us, and we release it in the office. But I think it's not the problem of devices; it's a problem of IP addresses or regions, because we have various devices for various channels, 2, 3 iPhones watch for one channel and more. That is not a problem. So different devices is not a problem. My impression, but the IP address is. But that can change tomorrow. So the algorithm changes all the time. So you never know what's going to happen.
Any advice that we give on TikTok, it has an expiration of about 16 seconds, because that's how fast things are changing over there.
But that's my main message. Sorry, but that's my main message for today for everybody out there. You cannot read a book about TikTok, even though I wrote one. Yeah, you cannot write a book about TikTok. Super important that as a company, you really need to understand that you need to have a department or a team that constantly is on this platform. And by the way, also other social media platforms that can quickly adapt. And if you don't want to invest it, get partners who do. And it doesn't help you when you get an agency that tries to produce Facebook videos for TikTok, or that offers you something. For example, the videos I did at the very beginning of my TikTok career, these videos don't work anymore. But if you don't know it, and if your company doesn't know it, then that's a problem. So you need to have a team that's really entrenched in this platform, that really understands it.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, very, very specifically. Do you recommend, is it okay? Will we get dinged if we have other folks post our videos for us? So if we record the content and then an editor does what they have to do, and then they actually post on our behalf, what is your take on that?
We do this all the time.
And then the next question now is, can that be done only on a mobile device? Can that be done on a desktop device? I just noticed for the first time that TikTok has a desktop app. I've never seen that before. So what is your take on?
So our experience in that currently, maybe 16 seconds later, it's different. Our experience is that doesn't matter. In contrast to Instagram, in our opinion, in Instagram Reels, it makes a difference. I think that you do it on mobile, you should do it on mobile, our impression. But I think on TikTok, it doesn't make a difference. And one funny thing for everybody who's thinking about starting, don't think about all these topics. The only thing you need to think about is what kind of video shall my target group, my clients and potential clients like. And if your video is awesome and the algorithm thinks it goes viral, you can release it on the moon, on a fax machine, it will go viral. That doesn't matter. So that's now we're making science out of it, and for professionals that's super okay. But I think for people who want to start, just start and try to create awesome content.
Okay, now one of the topics that a lot of folks are discussing is scheduling posts. There's software like Hootsuite, and there's so many other platforms now that I have not done full research on this, so I'm not fully qualified to discuss this. Something I'd actually like to learn about. But are those third-party scheduling software platforms for social media, specifically Instagram Reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, are those effective to use? Will they get us less reach? Do we get dinged in some capacity because there's a third-party app that's doing the posting or the scheduling?
We use for TikTok, for example, for us, we use the internal scheduling thing, but for clients, we use third-party topics, and we actually don't see a difference. So I don't see that. We do it, for example, on LinkedIn directly or via a third party. I don't see it actually. So, but that could be the case. Maybe it's a good point that I'm writing myself down that we should test from clients where we do everything on certain third-party tools to do it via phone at some point too. I think that's a good point. You should observe this, because to be quite honest, as a social media platform, I would be very cautious about third-party users, because there are a lot of scammers and bots and stuff like that out there. I would really be super cautious.
Yeah, this is the thing that I get concerned about, because I have been once put in LinkedIn jail, that's what people kind of call it, which basically means you did some activity or something took place on your LinkedIn account, and then your account's blocked for some amount of time. Yeah. And I think the reason why that happened is because we were experimenting with automation of LinkedIn posts. And I don't think that the company that we experimented with was approved. In fact, I don't know if there's anyone that's officially approved by LinkedIn for content posting. The thing that I'd like to do personally more research on is which companies have been approved by Instagram, by Facebook, by TikTok to actually do scheduled posts. Is Hootsuite an approved program? I'd like to think I'd like to think that if there's an open API system that these companies have put out there and that other people are taking advantage of, they've gone through some vetting process. But again, I'm not qualified. I'd like to do some research on that.
Yeah.
Great. So just to kind of wrap up here, I think just to reiterate, what we're talking about is, number one, is to understand who your ideal client profile is. Who truly are you trying to cater to? Number two is the format in which you're recording content. What does it look like? What's the shape? What's the size? What's the vibe? Number three is, what is the experimentation that you're participating in? If you're not getting traction on a certain type, then how do you pivot? I love the videos that you have with your hand, where you're kind of showing some real estate. You've done videos wearing a wig. You bring it. You have a personality. I really appreciate that. That makes it entertaining for me. In fact, I want to follow you, and I'm going to consume your content and also learn German as well. One of the things that we also learned was this idea of, I'd like to get more of a inspirational bit on how to stay consistent, because that is the number one problem. How can we stay consistent with our posting? How do we not fatigue? This is one of the things that I want to explore.
I think the biggest thing, and that would be also my closing remark, is you really need to love your audience. You really need to love your clients. You really need to think, how can I deliver as much as possible? My first viral video was when I saw some young person, some scammer, showing a rented Lamborghini with fake money and fake designer shoes and everything, trying to rip teenagers off. And I was really mad at that. And I made a really emotional video. It's like, you cannot, but like in a fun way, obviously. And that got a large reach. But in this moment, I was really loving these young people, because I was thinking, don't get scammed by these idiots. I have the life experience to see immediately, because also I work for one of the richest families in Germany. I really see what is wealth and what's not wealth, and that was not. And these other people, they don't have the experience, and that's what the scammers were aiming at. And in this moment, I love these people really, really much. And I think if you do this, then you always get. And if you have a mission, independently if you whatever you sell, if you have a mission to help people, you always find a way to tell the same story a 10,000th time, and then you can do 10,000 TikTok videos. And if you do that, I'm pretty sure you beat me with my 500,000 followers pretty fast.
That's it. There it is. That's the best advice. To close it out, I think we have to mention the importance of being authentic. We have it right there said correctly. If you put yourself out there with a rented Lamborghini and some stolen shoes and you're doing scams, someone's going to call you out on it. It's inevitable. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to end right. This is why it's so important to be authentic. And, Dr. Robin, I just wanted to stress the point that I have gratitude for you joining me on this podcast to guide us on how we can acquire our own 500,000 followers and over 200 million views. Congratulations on that. And I hope to look forward to seeing you more on TikTok.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thanks so much. Take care now.